Hey there, Solar Warriors. I'm Nico Johnson, and this is Suncast. Each week, I pull back the veil on the life and business insights of clean tech entrepreneurs building the most noble and impactful companies of our time. I hope what you learn from this conversation is a catalyst for your own growth. So thanks for tuning in, and welcome to our tribe. Well, hey there. Welcome back, Solar Warrior. Happy Friday. I love the Friday crowd. You are such committed, infinite learners. Hey, if you're unfamiliar, we call this Flashback Friday, and it's my way of giving you a glimpse back at something we did recently that I think you should have a listen to. Whether it's content from one of our many live events, like the SPI Podcast Lounge, or perhaps a replay of older archived episodes that have garnered thousands of downloads, or maybe just a glimpse at what was published on the podcast this last week. This is yet one more way that you can learn and grow with us here on Suncast. Remember, you can always find the resources and learn more about today's guests, recommendations, etc. on the blog at mysuncast.com. So get ready to tune up your skills, Solar Warrior, as we tune into another powerful conversation here on Suncast. All right, we are here live and going into our first session at the Podcast Lounge, sponsored by Radiant Re, produced by Suncast Media. We're live on the trade show floor of Solar Power International 2019. If you're tuning in on our live cast, thank you. We're at podcastlounge.live. We are joined today by the Chief Operating Officer of Energetic Insurance, Jeff McAulay, and the Executive Vice President of Energy and Infrastructure Group of Live Oak Bank, Jordan
Blanchard.
Jordan Blanchard. Thank you, Jordan. I apologize for that. I had it written, and I didn't have all of my details, so I apologize for that. The question at hand that we're going to attempt to address in the brief amount of time that we have today is around unrated agencies. But before we jump into that, I would really love to hear, and maybe Jeff, you can kick it off for us. How did Live Oak and Energetic actually get introduced to one another? What's the problem that you guys came together to solve?
Absolutely. And Nico, first of all, thanks for having us here. It's a real honor. And, Jim and I are big fans of the show. We consider ourselves Solar Warriors.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I'll say is, though we started an insurance company to solve problems for solar developers. Mm-hmm. And this is a very familiar issue. I feel like every conference we've been at for the last 5 to 10 years has had a session on how to do more commercial and industrial solar, and specifically the biggest barrier has been unrated. So Jim and I both experienced that pain point in the solar industry, and started a company 3 years ago really to solve that problem for our friends, right, who are solar developers, the solar warriors out there that you talk to.
And for those listening to us, he was referring to Jim Bowen, who's the co-founder of Energetic Insurance. Good friend of ours as well.
And so on that journey, we have a very collaborative business model. Mm-hmm. We're there to help developers and banks do more deals. And so on that journey, we meet people with aligned missions. So Jordan Blanchard, one of the most creative and forward-thinking bankers out there, and I'll let him tell a little bit more about what he's done. But talked to him actually over a year ago. Started that conversation of, hey, we think we've got a way to help expand the market for unrated C&I. How can we work together? And that journey is still just beginning, but happy to have announced some of the first deals together.
Yeah, indeed. Jordan, tell me a bit about Live Oak and how Live Oak partners in the marketplace in particular, and how you differentiate yourself as a vendor for financing.
Sure. So by the end of the podcast, hopefully we'll put all of the pieces of the puzzle together. But first and foremost, we're a 10-year-old bank and mostly focused on small business loans using the Small Business Administration credit enhancement. In fact, we're the largest SBA lender in the nation. Mm-hmm. In 2016, we moved into renewable energy, utilizing the U.S. Department of Agriculture Loan Guarantee Program, another form of credit enhancement. So we have been doing mostly utility scale solar, over $750 million in the last 3 years. Starting 18 months ago, we saw the need to try to provide a solution for the C&I market, and solar requires long-term debt to make it economical. And when you're lending to an unrated small business, long-term debt is not ideal. Mm-hmm. So when we heard about what we saw as a credit enhancement from Energetic Insurance, that's when we decided to go all in and work with them to help develop a product that works not only for us, but all types of other lenders and investors as well.
Can you walk me through the typical experience of a C&I developer who wants to get their project through a pipeline? Maybe they don't have a secured funding source, but they're trying to figure out, how do I know if this entity is actually going to qualify for financing?
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and take that. So there's two things that we have to address here. One is the creditworthiness of the off-taker. And for a small business, that is going to be through analyzing the business financials as well as the owner's personal financial situation. So we first determine whether or not a business can qualify on a long-term basis. And then we contact Energetic Insurance, and together we'll mutually identify what the power market is, their version of what the off-taker strength is, and whether or not a system can be rehabilitated and be used somewhere else if for some reason a small business is no longer able to continue to pay for power.
I've always thought that commercial solar should have an easy button for financing, just like residential solar. But credit ultimately has been the gating item until now. Energetic Insurance levels the playing field so that project developers can now offer the same electricity savings to small and medium businesses that were previously reserved for the large commercial buyers in the U.S. Their Unrated credit cover policy provides the missing link, or that easy button I mentioned earlier. For commercial solar, it's basically the FICO score that we're so familiar with in residential solar. And it enables savvy developers and investors to quickly finance commercial solar projects. Don't take my word for it. Check it out for yourself. Go to energeticinsurance.com/Suncast and submit your projects today. What do you got to lose? 70% of projects qualify, and the review process is drop dead easy. Go hit the easy button on commercial solar at energeticinsurance.com/Suncast. Hey, are you losing commercial solar sales because of high demand charges that minimize the ROI for your customer? Extensible Energy's Demand X software is an affordable new solution for reducing peak demand charges by 30%. No batteries required. Extensible's intelligent software analyzes solar production, utility rates, weather data, and more. Then it crunches that data, monitors solar and flexible loads, and automatically reduces peak demand spikes, increasing your customer's ROI and decreasing payback time. Head to extensibleenergy.com/Suncast for a free demand charge analysis for your project and to learn more about Extensible's partner program for commercial solar installers. You can learn more at extensibleenergy.com/Suncast. And finally, a quick reminder on how you can get more out of Suncast this week. Number one, I'll be giving away one membership to our Insiders circle of tribe members we call the Suncast Guild. There's only 2 ways to get an entry. You could join the Suncast tribe mailing list, or you could take the listener survey. Either way, both are an easy way to get an entry. You can find it at mysuncast.com. And thing number 2 is I'm giving away free 30-minute clarity coaching for everyone who fills out a coaching application. This is a $150 value, so I do hope you won't sleep on this offer. Coaching applications close on Sunday, December 15th. Just click on the Work With Me button at mysuncast.com and fill out an application. All right, let's get back to today's conversation.
You touched on a really important point, is that a lot of developers out there just aren't knocking on the doors because they don't think they can get the deal financed.
Right.
So there's just that lack of confidence leads to a whole segment of the addressable market not being developed. So that's really the problem we're trying to solve by getting a higher hit rate financing package together And that's why we're excited to be here, is to talk to more developers and say, hey, look, those deals that you were walking by, you can do more of those unrated deals and do more projects, do them faster, higher probability of success. And maybe there was some way you could do it before, but we see just it takes so much time. Mm-hmm. And every developer we talk to has a story about the one that got away, the deal that they thought was really good, and then they had this great story, and they just couldn't get it through credit committee. We're here to help people get those deals that got away, and do more deals.
So something occurs to me as, I've done C&I development, I've done utility scale development. One of the things that was really challenging, and it's getting easier, is actually figuring out how to prospect in a segment where you have a likelihood to win, right? And like it or not, this is why a lot of folks focus on munis in schools, right? It's predictable revenue. You can know what your timeline for sale close is. You can know when to go in and talk to the school boards. It's harder to know if the manufacturing company that's been family owned for 30 years down the street is going to qualify, and whether or not your sales team is wasting their time. What have you guys seen by the way of tools, or maybe you've created, that can help C&I developers actually filter where to focus their time?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Is come talk to us. We have an easy online portal that we work on together. So a very simple application process, quick turnaround for, is this something that we can put an offer together and give that indication of probability of success?
Yeah, I see our role as more educational than sales. We need to let the market know that there is capital available for C&I solar so that they start talking to those folks. And I get your point about why people focus on munis and school districts, because it's inherently financeable. But what you give up is a very long sales time and not profit-motivated people on the other side. What you gain by C&I is much faster turn. Mm-hmm. And again, we just have to let them know that there's capital available now.
So you guys have come together, you've got this product. Give me an example or a sense of how it's being utilized in the marketplace today. Is there a good project that we can focus on as a case study?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, putting the pieces of the puzzle back together, we're a small business underwriter, so we have an expertise in ascertaining risk of a small business. So without this credit enhancement, there's no way that we can make a 10 or 15 or 20-year loan, because there's really no collateral value. If that small business were to default, there's not the ability to go get the equipment and sell it for any kind of meaningful dollar amount.
Right.
So we have to, one, be sure that the client is creditworthy, but two, have a backup in the form of a credit enhancement. So, your average small business has to date been shut out of the market, or maybe they go to their local bank and get a 5-year loan, or secured against real estate if they happen to own a building. That's too small of a subset. We're trying to open it up with 15 to 20-year amortizations and not have to have that real estate collateral to be able to qualify.
Gotcha.
Or letters of credit. That's the other one. People say, oh yeah, I can do these with a letter of credit. We have a more cost-effective, less painful option than traditional letters of credit, and a lot of the other options that Jordan mentioned, which we think makes this more scalable.
So Jeff, if I'm a developer, how do I evaluate the decision to approach a client or not approach a client, and whether or not I have something? How do I know that tool is in my toolkit and what it's going to save me, and how do I translate that to the client in the form of the sales package?
Yeah, and I think it's the exact same process today as far as messaging to the customer. The customer doesn't need to know about all of the bells and whistles behind the scene. They're just going to see it as a standard PPA, same as normal. And there is an education process here, so I think that's what really we're working on here at SPI is we just invite developers to come talk to us and learn about the process and what it can do and how it can improve their returns and increase their market.
If there's one piece of advice that you guys have gleaned, not just in your experience together as a partner, but your time in solar, you mentioned, you and Jim created Energetic after years of people saying the same thing over and over. Where do you see developers consistently running into roadblocks that you, as someone who's seen it time and time again, you're just putting hand in head thinking, gosh, I could have helped you avoid that?
Well, I'll start there. So first and foremost is don't sign a PPA until you know what all the financing costs are going to be. Because What's happening now is people are guessing at what the economics are. They'll sign a PPA, they'll bring it to us, and now we're forced to try to fit all the pieces of the capital into a box that may or may not work. So back to your question about, well, what tools do you have? Energetic is working on a forward-facing platform that folks can insert their information to. We'll provide background information so that you have some idea what a PPA is supposed to be priced at. Then with that information, you can go negotiate with the client. Until that happens, just give us a call.
Yeah,
absolutely. I would just say the thing that we see most consistently underappreciated is that time kills all deals.
Yeah.
And so, I think a lot of people, by nature, right, if we're in this business, we're optimistic and we're like, no, I know I can get this done. And there's no line item in the model for how much time it takes. Mm-hmm. And so we would just say, go for a higher probability of success and do more deals rather than trying to hoard and protect and squeeze every last bit. And then you turn around and it took you 9 months to develop a deal. Mm-hmm. And, we're really designing for scale and how to really turn this into a machine that can allow everybody to do more business.
Yeah, and ultimately, time is money, and you're helping developers put more money back into their shareholders' pockets, back into their pockets, and turn over more projects. More importantly, I think that with the filter of how you guys view prospective clients, you are able to, in real meaningful ways, engage in a partnership with your clients to help them identify, target, filter, and separate the wheat from the chaff, right? In a way that wasn't possible before. Yeah. Well, as we wrap up, what's on the horizon? Where do you see in the next 18 months to 24 months this conversation going around additional products that can help finance projects?
Yeah, so I'll take that one first. So I think what we're facing, the biggest obstacle is people don't know that there's financing available for this, and they're not even prospecting clients. So I think as the word gets out from podcasts like this or SPI or our visits, 2020 will see people starting to dip their toe into it. In 2021, I think you're going to see just a tremendous amount of activity once people know, because that's the last untapped market for solar. Utilities saturated, residential saturated, C&I is where all the potential is.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one of the exciting things we see on the horizon is it's actually the secondary market. So one of the things that's really great, maybe there's ways that you can get a deal done the first time, but then it becomes an illiquid asset or it's hard to package. And so one of the things that's really exciting that we can provide is actually in this backstop that we're providing, it comes with this investment grade rating of the insurance partner that we have, which is SCORE. They're the 4th largest reinsurer in the world. So that allows these projects that were unrated to now be packageable and more of a liquid asset for that secondary market buyer. So I think we're going to see more portfolios, and that pull from the secondary market is going to open up more capital to do more deals and really scale this part of the industry.
It is an exciting time when we see that C&I is actually starting to get scale, right? And we can start injecting this mold of repeatability into projects, helping developers prospect better, close faster, and do more deals. That's what it's all about. We're here with Jeff McAulay, COO and co-founder of Energetic Insurance, and Jordan Blanchard, Executive Vice President of Energy and Infrastructure Group at Live Oak Bank, talking about their credit enhancement products directed specifically towards developers in the C&I space. Really, really appreciate you guys stopping by the podcast lounge here at SPI.
Nico, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap on today's conversation, Solar Warrior. But if you're hankering for more, you can find the resources and highlights from this and every discussion, along with social media links for today's guest, book recommendations, and more on the blog at mysuncast.com. And that's also where you'll find other ways to engage with the Suncast tribe, like subscribing to our weekly emails or even joining our exclusive inner circle we affectionately refer to as the Guild. If you've been wondering how you can partner with Suncast as a sponsor, get coaching from Nico to help scale your clean energy business, transition into the solar industry, or maybe just commune with other like-minded souls, you can find all that and more online at mysuncast.com. Check out the members section or the work with me section. We keep a running list of our live events where Nico is going to be in the world. I'm referring to myself in the third person here. I do travel a lot, and we tell you, generally speaking, where I'm going to be. on the website. And you can also learn how to participate and learn more from Suncast. Thanks again to our sponsors who help make this podcast possible. You can learn more about them and see if it's something that you'd be interested in doing at mysuncast.com/sponsor. Remember, you are what you listen to. Thanks again for showing up, Solar Warrior. It's half the battle.